So we're going to start today with a little 7-minute core non-stop. So it's non-stop core. We're going to go 1 minute on every exercise and keep going through all 7 of them. Once that's done, we've got a little break before we move into our compound exercises with weights. So if you don't have weights, I'll show you how to do it without. Before we start, I just want to go over our foundation exercises. So foundation exercises, there are, well, I'd say 5 of them because you have your cardio. So if you're a non-impact version, you have any knee issues, maybe you're recovering from an injury, then a good cardio to do is step out jacks. You're bending one knee softly and stepping out with the other foot while you hug your belly in. Okay, you want to get that power through the shoulders, and you can step out really fast and really push those hands down. And that's going to be a good cardio option if you're not doing full jacks or jumping or hopping. Okay, so that's a really nice way to get that cardio in there without having that impact on your joints. Now, the 4 fundamental exercises that every single other exercise is built on is the squat, number 1. So with your squats, your distance of your feet will depend on your knee and hip anatomy. Ideally, you want to be about hip bone distance apart or sit bone distance apart so that when you bend your knees, you're working through your inner thigh muscles and your lateral thigh muscles. And your knees are going to track over your toes. But that doesn't work for everyone. Some people have a bit of lateral rotation in the hip or really, really narrow hips, and so their feet need to come closer or wider apart. The other thing is if you have a natural turnout in your feet and you're trying to squat your knees and trying to keep your knees tracking in, you're going to put some torsion at the knee joint. So just check what your knees are doing. If you're more experienced, try and work on that form. Get those feet parallel, get those knees tracking over the toes. If you're new to exercise, just go with what's organic for you and focus on what muscles you're working on. So in our squat, it is the back line of our legs and our core, so our glutes. So you want the weight to be in your heels and the back and the middle of your arches, and you sit down into it. So we're not bending forward, we're sitting our hips down, pulling the belly in and getting that nice connection in the back line of the body and then pushing away. So your chest stays lifted, your spine doesn't change shape as you sit. So how low you go will depend on you, your body, your knees. You might just have a little baby bend, or you might be able to go right down to the floor and push away. The key is to make sure those knees track with the toes every time, and that outside edge of your kneecap, your patella, tracks with your pinky toe, the outside edge of your pinky toe. So that's our squat. Our other second fundamental exercise is our lunge. The lunge is about the quads and the hip flexors, so the front of the hips, but you have to use the glute and your core to set it up properly, or again, you get that tibial torsion. So this one I'm a little bit of a stickler about. When you go into your lunge, if your feet are both facing forward and parallel, you squeeze the bum cheek of the leg that is stepping back. That way your hips stay facing the front with your shoulders. If you lose the connection of that bum cheek, your pelvis is going to turn, and then you're going to get this zigzag at the knee, this tibial torsion. We don't want that. That's how we get knee injury. So really keep that bum glued on. And if you can't keep the bum glued on and move quickly, you know, especially if we're having plyometric, then just take the slow option. One side, nice and slow and low. And then when you've got that stability, stepping in, other side, slow and low. So protect your knees. So that's our lunge. We've got our plank, which obviously progresses into a push-up. So your progression for your plank, you're on your hands and knees. Your knees are directly underneath your hip bones. Your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. And your spine is long and straight, almost like somebody's pulling your tailbone and the crown of your head away from each other. You're going to push your hands into the floor and spread your fingers really wide. Now, if you know you've got some wrist issues, roll up the end of your mat. If you prop up the heel of your hand and have your fingertips fall forward, you're going to lengthen that joint, which just takes that pressure off of it. So if you need to do that, go ahead and do that. If you know you're on your knees, but you've got icky knees, put a towel under your knees just to cushion that patella a little bit. Once you've got your hands and your knees set up for how feels comfortable for you, you then find your glute. So your belly is pulling your back up towards the sky, your shoulders are pulled away from your ears, and that bit of your spine that's right between your shoulder blades is pushing up towards the sky rather than sinking. So a lot of people sink between their scapula, or they wing their scapula, so you want to keep thinking of pushing that bit of your spine up to the ceiling. And you're better to have a hunchback when you do your push-ups than you are to sink in the scapula, because you're going to do a lot of damage to your shoulder girdle. So once you've got your shoulders stable, your pelvis stable, your belly pulled in, you're going to find your glutes and step one leg back, push the heel away from the hip, and then step the other leg back. And it should almost just float up because you're solid now because you've got that glute connection. Once you're here, if you know, whoa, my arms aren't ready for this, then you keep the glute connection, but you drop the knees and lift the body. Okay, so this is your knee plank. If you're here, you're still going to get the benefit of strengthening your shoulders, but you're better to try and also work the glutes together with the core to get that nice length, okay? And knees down, there's no shame in it. I put my knees down a lot when I'm doing push-ups, because the minute you feel that weakness coming into your shoulders or you start to fatigue, you're going to get bad form, and it's just not worth it. The last one is crunches. We build on lots of different abdominal exercises, but the crunches are all about our core. Now, our core isn't just that six-pack down the front of our belly, it's the sides of our belly and the back of our lower back. It's also our pelvic floor. So for you men out there, it's that muscle that contracts when you have that feeling of like somebody's gonna kick you in the ghoulies, or you're jumping into freezing cold ice water. So that deep inhalation where everything sucks up towards your belly button, that's your pelvic floor muscle. You want that engaged when you're doing your abdominals. If you have that engaged, you're going to work the whole corset of your abdominal wall, which means you're working all of your core. So you're not just ripping down the front there, you're getting strong on the sides, in the back, getting rid of a lot of lower back issues. So for your abdominal crunches, you want to have your back in neutral if your feet are down. And pull your rib cage down towards your hips. Really tuck them in. Don't let them splay up every time you come down to the mat. So keep those abdominals that get engaged the whole time. And if you reach your fingers up to the ceiling and try and lift them up, see how your spine lifts. And my chin isn't jammed. I'm lengthening up towards the ceiling rather than crunching. So this is crunching. This is collapsing into the front of my body. I am working my abdominals, but I'm mostly working my rectus abdominis. By lengthening up, lifting up, I'm now using my oblique muscles, I'm using my transversus, I've got that pelvic floor engaged, and not using my scalenes on the front of my neck. So those are our fundamental exercises. Every exercise we do today is going to be built on that. They're compound exercises, so there's like lots of little funny things thrown in to make them interesting, but you can always do the basic version. A basic squat, a basic lunge, a basic plank, a basic crunch. Do what works for your body. Have water handy. Have your cushions handy. We're going to stand up and get ready to warm up. So I've got my little weights here. Mine are 3 kg for each hand today. And I'm just going to have those close by. I've got my water and my mat and my shoes for my stability. So we're just going to warm up our shoulders first. Just bring your hands to your shoulders and just do some little circles. Just stretching out any little niggles that you've held in them today, doing all this homeschooling, and then change direction. And while you're doing your shoulders, think about that navel pulling in towards the spine. Think about lifting that pelvic floor. Think about the glutes, and then release the hands down to the side. Let's just sweep them up overhead, just gentle and organic. We're just warming the body up. So you can cross them over. You can clap them. You can just sit there and watch me, whatever works for you. That's it. And then we're going to do some side bends. So just turn your toes out to the side. Make sure that turnout comes from the bum, not from the knees. So it's a lateral rotation in the femur. And then a soft bend in the knees. And we're just going to put your hand on your left thigh, sweep your right hand up, and just take that gentle side bend. And come on down. And to the other side. Lift it up. Stretch that left side of the body and come on down. One more time to the left. Bring it down to the right and down. Now pull those heels so your feet are wider but back in parallel, and we're just going to hinge the body forward. So just reach your arms up and then lengthen your head away from your tail as you bring your body parallel with the floor. So just stretching out those hamstrings a little bit. You can even wiggle your tushy if you want to, but you want to try and stretch those hamstrings out a little bit, stretch the spine out a little bit. If that's really bothering your shoulders, drop your hands, but keep that length in the spine. and then fold it down, and let's roll it up. Reach the hands up high, hinge the body forward, and fold it down. Roll it up. Reach and bring your hands back down to the side. Okay, your heart rate should already be starting to go just a little bit. We're going to warm up the knees pretty quickly when we start moving. So let's get this done. 29 minutes and 43 seconds. We are starting with our 7 cardio non-stop. So we've got dead bug on your back. So this is a core exercise. So you can do normal crunches, or you get on your back, you lift up your right leg, push your lower back into the floor, pick up your left leg, reach your hands for the ceiling, and then you're going to reach your right hand back overhead as you reach your left toe towards the floor. Use your belly to pull it back up to center. Reach the left and tap, pull it in. Reach the right, keep that rib cage down, guys. Keep the abdominals connected. That's our halfway timer. So those little beeps will tell you when it's 1 beep, we're halfway through the exercise. When it's 3 beeps, we're at the end or at the beginning. So don't let your rib cage pop up while you're doing these dead bugs. This is our first exercise. It's pretty basic, but it is actually a hard load on those abs. Keep breathing. Try and breathe in through your nose if you can, and breathe out through your mouth. If you let out like a real sigh breath, it helps to just release that full breath. Our next exercise, I can't see because my light's in my room, is sit up with your legs extended. So we're going to reach, have the legs bent, sit up and reach the legs. Bend the knees, bring it down. Sit up, reach the legs. Bend the knees, bring it down. So a little bit harder. Reach the legs. Your hands are down just to help you with that balance. If you're super advanced, you can reach to a teaser, bend your knees, bring it down. Roll it up, reach, bend, roll it down. Sit it up, reach, bend, bring it down. Almost there. Bring it down. Remember, you can still be here with your crunches if that's working better for you, or you can just come and sit up with your knees up in your crunches, whatever works for you, or you can extend to that teaser and bring it down. Roll it up, sit, reach, bring it down, and all the way down. We're going to reach our toes up to the ceiling now and flex our toes towards our face. Heels are pushing into the ceiling, hands go to the ceiling, and we're lifting the chest to try and push the ceiling off of the walls. Now, if that doesn't feel good for your legs, or you're struggling to keep those feet pushing into the ceiling, you can bend those knees and let them just hug into your chest, but keep getting that lift and reach from those upper abdominals. Try not to pull with the neck. If you do have any pain in your neck, you feel your head is really heavy today, go ahead and put one hand behind the head just to support it. So just make little movements, little modifications to help protect your body. As I said, this is a pretty intense workout, so you have to take the option that works for you, for your body. I gotta move my timer because it's in a terrible, terrible spot with the lights in this room. Like I said, used to my gym. Never mind. Okay, we're gonna cross our ankles over now, so we got this nice shallow diamond, and we're doing little hip lifts. So your hands are down by your side. You're gonna roll your hips off the floor and reach your toes up towards the ceiling. Keep trying to push your shoulders down. So we don't want to crunch the shoulders up and put this tension into our scalenes. So you want to really feel like you're using your lower abdominals to lift your bum off the floor. And if that isn't working for you, put your feet down and just do little curls like this. So you just get that same lifting my hips off the floor, using my glutes to help support me, or you'll lift them all the way up. Reach those toes right up, relaxing the shoulders. Don't forget about that pelvic floor muscle, your deep abdominals, not just that rectus abdominis, that six-pack down the front. Keep going, almost there, 5 seconds left. Our next one is now to roll those feet all the way over. So we're gonna open the feet up so they're parallel. Now, lower them down, protect your lower back, and then sweep them up, pull the hips off the floor, and bring your toes over your face. Roll your spine back onto the mat, reach those toes away, push that lower back into the floor, lift your pelvic floor, and then bring them back up. Get that little hip lift, but then all the way over your face, and roll it down. And back up. Rolling down. The lights are terrible in here for this, but never mind. Next time, hopefully I'll be back in the studio and I won't be getting blinded and you'll be able to see me. Keep going, guys. We've got 7 seconds left. Rolling that spine away from the floor, keeping the shoulders down. Get that little bit of massage in the spine. Bend your knees, come on over onto your hands for our first of our plank series. So remember, hands are under the shoulders, step one foot back, step the other foot back. Now if this is enough for you, stay here, otherwise we're going to do alternating planks. So you're going to tip your right hip, push into your right hand, twist, and reach for the sky, square your body back to the center. If that was too much for you, drop the knee, twist the hip, twist the shoulder, reach. Turn everything back to face the floor. Pick up the knee, drop the other knee, twist, twist the spine, reach. Everything faces the floor again. So take the option that suits your body, your wrist, and your shoulder. There's no need to rush it. This is still part of our warm-up. This is our little core session before we start with our weights and our more complex exercises. And then we're going to finish off with a little bit of cardio. Keep those shoulders nice and wide with those planks. We're going down onto our elbows for our plank now. So clasp your hands together and then tuck your pinkies inside of the palm of your hands before you put them down on the mat. Elbows are directly underneath the shoulders. So do that same thing. Find the bum, step one foot back and then the other till you come in your elbow plank. So really remember, push those shoulders away from each other. Pull the navel into the spine. And then if you want to move on from here, you're just going to pick up your right leg off the floor, bend the knee and bring it towards your right elbow. And then reach it out, square the hip, step it down. Other side, pick up the left leg, bend the knee, pull it in towards your armpit. And then reach it out, step it down. Let's do one more on each side. Lift it up, bend in towards the back of the upper arm. Reach it out, step it down. Lift, bend it in, reach, put it down, and then lower one knee, lower the other knee, and just push yourself back for a minute. So that's the end of our little cardio. We've got 20 seconds rest, so get yourself a drink of water, grab your weights, and we're starting with flamingos to squats. They're not really flamingos, they're deadlifts. We're doing one leg. So you can have one weight or two. You're gonna get your balance on your left leg, and just move with me. Send your right leg back so your toes on the floor, you're extending the hip. Soften the left knee, hinge the body forward so the leg comes up. Bring the foot back to the floor. Lift it up. Bring it back to the floor. One more time. Lift it up. Bring it down. Slide that foot in so it's right under the hip, and let's send the left leg back into extension. Lengthen your spine, pull your belly in, soften the knee, hinge the body forward. Lift it up. So you can see you don't really need the weights for this. It just adds added resistance to the back of the leg, to your back, just to make the workout a little bit harder. Adding weights is really good for getting that heart rate up. That's it. Okay, now we've got squat to a kettle swing. So get your feet nice and wide. You're going to come into your squat and then lift your weight over your head. Again, if you don't have a weight, you're going to come down, squat, tap the floor, lift your hands overhead. Don't let the rib cage pop. If you've got two weights, you can do it with two weights and your hands in the Arnold position. So your weights are perpendicular to your body. Make sure those knees are going out over the toes. Pull the pelvic floor up. Pull the navel in. You don't need to rush. Take your time with it. Find the power in the back of the legs. Breathe. Shoulders away from your ears. Knees tracking over toes. Nice deep squat and push through those legs. That's the end of our timer. Good job. Okay, now we've got a sumo squat with our arms in front. So this time your toes are pointed out, your heels are in, and you come down to this wide-kneed squat. So your knees are reaching away from the middle of your body. And then if you have your weights, you're going to pick one weight or two weights up in front of your chest. We're just going to hold it here. So just having that isometric contraction in the shoulder muscles, in the leg muscles, pulling the core in, making sure you're not arching in your back. You want that tail tucked under just a little bit. You're getting that push out in the knees from the bum. The weight is in the heels. Trying to catch your breath, lengthening your spine, keeping everything tucked in, nice and stable. 5 seconds left. Woo, push those legs away from the floor and grab your weights if you have them. We're going to do squats just to the right side. So get your feet underneath your hips and we're going to step just to the right and squat and back in. You can have your weights at your shoulders, at your sides, or in front of your chest, and we're just going to squat, bring it in. So your left leg becomes this pendulum for the right, or this base of support, almost like a pivot on a door. Your back is staying long every time, and the weight is in the heels. My spine and my chest are lifted, my navel is pulled in, and I'm not collapsing into that squat. One last one, and we're going to do the other side. So drop your weights down by your sides if you had them at your chest, and then when you're ready, take them back up, step, squat, pull it in. Just glance down at your toes, make sure your knees are tracking over your toes with each squat. And you can have super heavy weights for this if you want to. Really good for building bone density, but you have to have correct form. You have to know what you're doing. And you still have to enjoy it. That's it. Only go as low as feels good for your body. Okay, we've got a parallel squat now with a shoulder press on our right. So your feet are parallel again, hip distance to shoulder distance maybe, and you're gonna have your weight on your right shoulder. We're gonna squat and push up, extend the arm. Keep the ribs down and the belly pulled in. Knees over toes. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Lift the pelvic floor. Your thighs might be getting warm by now. Just keep breathing. Try to resist gravity as you come down and find that power as you come up. We're going to do the other side, obviously. Set your squat back up. Left hand at the left shoulder. Squat it down, push with control. Slowly bend that elbow as you bend the knees. So your glutes and your hamstrings push you away from the floor, but they also resist your body coming back down together. Well, your quads normally flex your hips, but it's actually gravity pulling you down. So your hamstrings and glutes work in an eccentric contraction. Good job. Okay, we've got a curl to lunge. So as you lunge, you can lunge forwards or backwards. As you lunge, you're going to do a bicep curl and stand tall. Okay, other leg, stand tall. Here we go. Lunge and curl, bring it to center. Lunge and curl, bring it to center. Remember about that glute in your lunge, so your hips and your shoulders stay square. You want to drop that knee towards the floor. If you're lunging forward, then the knee is also still coming down and you're curling the opposite arm. So I like to lunge backwards. It's my comfort zone. Keep the spine long and the navel pulled in. Just keep breathing. Find that power from the center of your body. Good job. Okay, we got crouch renegade rows. So you're going to come down on the floor with your weights. Curl your toes under, your hands are on your shoulders, your knees are under your hips. So these are usually in a plank, but we're going to lift the knees off the floor and then push into the left hand row with the right. Push into the right hand row with the left. Keep the belly pulled in to hold that crunch. Keep the hips back over the heels. The knees stay low, close to the ground. Lengthen the neck. Pull your belly in. That's halfway. Try and keep your hips and shoulders level the whole time. If the crunch is too much for you, come into a normal wide-footed plank and row. If that's too much for you, come just down to a knee plank or a plank. So take the option that feels good for your your body. Okay, we got to push up, first push up to round plank. So when you come into your plank setup, this is your round plank. You're sort of arching your upper back. So you're going to go into this round plank where you look to your toes, then lengthen the body, push up, round, stretch those shoulders, lengthen, push up, stretch the shoulders, lengthen. You can do these with your knees down, still push away, squeeze the glutes, spread the shoulders wide, push away from the floor. Remember to keep your shoulders supported. Your scapula need to be nice and wide and glued to the back of the spine. Soften one knee and then the other. And we're going to go from a lunge to a squat. So again, with or without the weights, up to you. So basically, we're going to lunge, squat on one side. Lunge, squat. Here we go. Lunge, squat. Watch those knees. Lunge, squat. You can drop the weights. You can do whatever feels good for you today. Breathe, though you can't, that's not an option. You gotta breathe. Really working that left thigh as we move from that lunge to that squat. Whew. And then we're gonna do that on the right side. Whew. I'm sweating. It's weird doing it in the house. Step it back, lunge, squat. Well, see, I lost my glute there, so I lost my balance. Keep that glute connected. Lunge, power, square the body, lunge, squat, step it back. Always take the time to square your body. Lunge, step it back. Last one. Whew. Okay, we've got sumo squats with shoulder press now. So you're going to come back into that sumo with your heels in, your toes out. Bend those knees, pull the belly in, bring your weights to your shoulders if you have them, and reach them up to the ceiling as you straighten your legs. If you don't have your weights, you're just going to reach your arms overhead, pull them down. So same movement with or without the weights. If you only have one weight, you can push it up, pull it down. So take the option that is accessible to you. Remember to resist gravity as you come down. Breathe. I think my heating is on maximum. Keep that rib cage down as you push those weights up and keep the weight in your heels. Okay, we got a squat to a hammer curl. I'm getting a little drink of water. So when you squat, this time your feet are parallel, you're going to curl into a bicep curl. So bicep curl, straighten up. Weight is in the heels. Bicep curl, push. Keep the belly pulled towards the spine the whole time. The shoulders are away from the ears. Keeping everything locked in, nice and stable. Keep lifting your sternum towards the front of the room. Maybe even pick up your big toes so you really feel that connection of the weight in your heels and feel the connection with your glutes. Good job. Okay, we got alternate shoulder press in a lunge. So you're going to lunge and push the weight up. So it's lunge, lunge, okay? Ready? Here we go. Lunge. Keep the torso and the hips square. So don't compromise on your form because you've added the extra exercise in. If you don't have weights or don't want to use them, it's just a reach. But it's not a reach and tip. So keep those hips and shoulders square the whole time so that your body is safe and protected. Keep the belly pulled in. Squeeze the bum. alternating squat with bicep curl. So that's squat to the right, squat to the left. A little curl, it's like a hammer curl, so you turn it to face you, bring it down away from you. So ready? To the right, to the left. Again, you don't have the weights, you can just do alternating squats. Focus on that form. Pull the belly in. Maybe you can make your squat a little bit smaller. And breathe. Don't just drop those weights as you come up. Remember about that eccentric contraction. So your triceps will be wanting to work to straighten the arms, but your biceps are working isometrically. Good job. Okay, rotating rows. If you don't have weights, so you're rotating rows, we are hinged. We're going to pull and twist the spine, pull and twist the spine. If you don't have weights, you're going to hinge and just twist, twist, okay? So take the option that's accessible to you. Row and pull that elbow back. Square yourself with the floor. Row, twist the spine. Keep sending the sit bones away from the head the whole time. Breathe. I wish somebody was in here to open a window for me. But none of the windows have locks, keys in them. So I'd have to go on a key hunt just to open a window. I've never missed my studio so much. Okay, we've got a squat lunge to curtsy. I'm going to just use one weight. So we're going to squat, lunge, curtsy on one leg. Are you ready? Squat, step the foot back, lunge, cross it over, curtsy. Back to center. Squat, lunge, curtsy. Bring it back to center. Squat, keep that belly pulled in. Lunge, curtsy. Back into center. Pull it back, keep those hips square. Curtsy, keep your chest lifted. Back, lunge, shoulders away from your ears. That left leg's really working here. Back, let's see if we can get that last one in. Curtsy, and we're gonna do the other side. Woo. Okay, a little rest in between, which is quite nice. Get a drink. We're gonna do the left leg. So you're gonna start with that squat. Squat, step it back, hip square. Lunge, curtsy. Squat, lunge, curtsy. Make sure that your knees are still tracking with those toes every time. So look down if you need to. Lunge, curtsy, back to center. You guys are doing great if you're actually doing it. And if you're just watching, hi. Squat, lunge, pull that navel in towards your spine. Good job. Okay. Oh, we're on our back. I love this. We've got skull crushers. So it's a core exercise. So we are on our back. Our knees are bent. Reach your hands up to the ceiling. All you're going to do is bend the elbows so the weight comes to your forehead, and then reach them up. Bend and reach them up. Keep that rib cage pulled down. This is core and triceps together. So remember that little hollow in your lower back if your feet are down. Now, if you want to pick it up a notch, you can pick your feet up, glue your inner thighs together, and you can reach the legs long while you crush your skull with that tricep bend. Reach and pull it in. So that upper arm is not moving at all. Your rib cage is pulled right down into the front of your hip bones. Tuck it in the front pockets of your jeans. Whew. Okay, we've got a row crunch. So for your row crunch, you're going to lift one foot up, roll behind your sit bones, lift your other foot up. Find your balance, and then you lean your body back, reach your hands and your toes, pull your body in. You can keep the hands reaching if that feels better for you, but you get that extension of the leg, pull it in. Reach and pull. If that's too much for you, stay with your normal crunches, or if you want to try and challenge yourself, keep the back down, bend the knees, and just reach the legs and bend them in. So take the option that works for your body. You can even do these with a weight at your chest to add additional resistance for your abdominals. Make sure you fully contract your quads as you extend those legs, and find your bum. Your bum helps to reach those toes away. You guys, we're just about done. So we've got 5 minutes left. We're in our cardio blast. So we're starting with jacks. Remember, you can do those step out jacks, or you can do a proper jack it out like me, slow or fast, whatever works for you. So this is your little cardio. Your heart's probably been thumping anyway with the weights and just a challenge of exercise. But now this is really, really about the heart. Make those shoulders powerful. Push the hands down really strong towards your hips. Land softly on those toes. Keep the glutes connected. Keep the belly pulled in. The spine is long. Shoulders are relaxed, but pulling them down towards your hip bones. Keep going. Lift that pelvic floor. Good job. Okay, we got a jog on the spot now. So this is just an organic jog to shake it out. So make it work for you. You can do it fast and light. You can do high knees. Whatever floats your boat. So it can just be a gentle shaking it out, or you can properly prance on those feet using your bum to push your heels down. If you're a runner, it's a good chance to really squeeze your glutes and get that posterior tilt and pull your shoulders back as you do this, because you look strange when you do it running down the road. But it's a really good way to boost your running endurance and speed. Make the feet light. Just prancing on the spot. It's also a lot noisier on the floorboards here than in my studio. So I hope I don't sound like an elephant. Okay, these are my least favorite exercise. We've got mountain climbers. So a plank and a cardio. Hands in your shoulders. Knees under your hips, make your spine long, spread those fingers. Step one leg back, step the other leg back. Once you're in your plank, you're gonna bend the knee towards your nose, send it away with your bum, bend the other one in, send it in with your bum. So you can stay at that level, or you're gonna run. Mountain climbers, keeping your shoulders wide, keeping your navel pulled towards your spine. Push your bum down towards your heels. So you get that nice extension at the hip as you thrust those knees back, or those heels back. Keep the head lifted, try not to collapse in them. And breathe. I hate them. Okay, we're gonna do a version that builds into a burpee. So it's a down dog to a squat. So you're on your hands and knees, toes curled down, and you push your hips up to the sky, your head between your upper arms, your front thighs towards the back of your room. So this is your down dog. Then you're gonna bend your knees, look at your hands, hop forward so your feet come outside your hands, and then hop back. Push yourself back to your down dog. Now if the hop isn't working for you, then you can step, squat, step, down dog. But I recommend you try that hop. Squeeze your bum as you come back. If the hands stay down on the floor, it's a progression for your sprawl burpee. So you can come in the plank or lift up to the down dog. That's a nice little stretch in between. Okay, we've got squat to plank now. So you're going to squat down, step out. So this is the top end of your burpee. You can do it in one motion. Squat, hop, push. Squat, hop, squat. So it's a squat, come down, out to a plank, squat to come in, push away from the floor. It's a sprawl burpee. I just like to call it something else so that I can trick you. Almost there. 12 seconds left, guys. And we're done. Ready for Friday night beers? glass of wine, margarita, whatever floats your boat. Whew, okay. It's definitely hot in here, so I'm gonna stretch out real quick and then go drink a gallon of water and stand outside. Get a little drink of water and we'll stretch out our legs. Okay, so we're gonna start with our lunge to stretch out our legs. So send the right leg back, squeeze that right glute, connect the core, and then push the hips forward. So your knee isn't coming down this time, the leg is staying straight, and you're pushing your hips forward, stretching out the front of the hip, keeping the belly, protecting that lower back. And if you need to, you can bounce in and out of it a little bit, but just keep that belly pulled in, and then push yourself up. And let's stretch the quad a bit deeper. So kick your heel into your hand, hold on to something for support if you need to. Squeeze the glute, get your knees in line with each other. Can't find my balance. Get your knees in line with each other and then pull that heel towards your bum. Again, hips are square, belly's pulled in. You're stretching down the front of your thigh. And release the foot, get a little shake. Now we're going to take that same leg and we're going to wrap the right ankle on top of the left knee. So just above the knee so it's on your thigh. If you can't get it up there, then bring it below the knee. Don't put it on your knee, okay? So either above or below. And then you're going to sit your hips back, not like we do in a squat, because we're going to put those hips back and bring our chest towards the floor, but lengthen it. So your tailbone all the way up your spine. Feel like somebody's like your head and your tail are head and tail of a snake, and somebody's trying to stretch you out really long. You'll get that deep stretch in your gluteals, your lateral rotators, and then lengthen up. Now you're going to, once you come up, you're going to turn your left heel in a little bit, kick your right foot out in front of you, toes to the sky, and then sit back again. That same sitting back movement. So you're stretching the spine, the hips come back, but the chest is lifted, so we stretch out the back of the leg. And breathe. And lengthen up. Give a little shake. Let's do the other side. So we're going to step the left foot back this time. And squeeze that left glute, and then lunge it forward, keeping the body up. And you might need to actually fold forward a little bit. Maybe you're that tight, that's totally okay. Or maybe you find it's better for you to put your knee down and have that base of support on the ground. That's totally okay as well. But make sure that glute is contracted, otherwise you're not going to get that deep stretch in the front of the hip flexors. And then come on up, give it a shake. And we're going to do the quad. So heel in to the bum, get the knees in line with each other, nice and close to each other, and then pull that heel back and up. Keeping the belly glued in, protect that lower back. You don't want to arch in your lumbar spine. Good job. And we'll cross it over for our figure four. So that left heel comes, or left ankle comes up onto the right knee or below it, and then you sit the hips back and lengthen the spine. So it can be below it or above it, depending on your hip flexibility. A lot of people find it hard to bring their foot up to their knee. A lot of people find it hard to cross their legs. Shake that out. And then we're going to do the hamstring. So right heel in, toe out. Not as much as we do with our sumos, or not to maximum lateral rotation, just about 40 degrees. Then left foot out in front, toe to the ceiling, and hinge those hips back. Lengthen the spine, stretch the snake again. Pull the belly in. Good job, and come on up. And we're just going to do a couple side bends. So clasp your hands together in front of your hips. Your feet are nice and wide, and they can be parallel or slightly turned out. You're just going to lift those hands up overhead and then flip them around so your palms are trying to push into the ceiling. And then lift those hands up, but pull the shoulders down. Now from here, you're going to feel like your spine is lengthening as you tip your body over to the left side. And use your belly to draw you back up to center. Reach the hands, pull the shoulders down, lengthen and tip the body over to the right side. So you don't want to just collapse. We want to lift and stretch the body. And back into center. Release the hands, and let's just stretch those triceps. So reach your hand up to the ceiling, palm faces backwards, and then push into the elbow as you squeeze that hand back towards the middle of your shoulder blades. And the other arm, reach it up, pull that hand in between your scapula. I wonder why they're not called scapulae. Scapulae? Scapulas? There's two of them. And release. And you guys are done. I hope you enjoyed that. Something different from what I have posted live before. A little sample of what I do with my functional intelligent training sessions. If you're interested in joining up for these sessions, just send me a ping and I'll give you more information and more details. Happy Friday. Love to see you guys virtually. It's nice to actually see that people were watching and that I'm not just talking to a dead screen. So happy Friday. Thanks again for joining me.